Hi, my name is Charlie Stuart. I went to Barker College and my HSC Visual Arts body of work was called Essence. So my medium was photography, in which I created a monochrome series that displayed a subculture of youth whose deep respect and admiration for the environment, in particular the ocean, has shaped their identity. I chose photography because I've always been really into capturing moments, and the motif of the ocean was influenced as I've been into underwater photography for a couple of years since purchasing a waterproof camera housing and living by the beach.
I was inspired by Stephen Van Vlieteren's series Surf Tribe, a portraiture series of surfers from all around the globe. His use of serene, black and white photography and his intention to show that there is far more to surf culture than what meets the eye is what really grabbed my attention. My process was very challenging yet fulfilling. As I was predominantly working with people as my subject matters, time management was very tricky as I wasn't only working around my Year 12 schedule but theirs as well, which is definitely something you need to keep in mind if you're planning on working with people as your subject matter. However, I fell in love with photographing the natural state of the human face, as I feel whether it be through their eyes, their smile, or even just their stance, I was able to gain a slight insight into their life. I ended up taking portraits of 28 different people, and on each shoot I would take roughly 400 images per person, of which I would then proceed to choose the top 10 or so of each person, load them into Lightroom, edit all 10, and then pick my final image. Lightroom is an Adobe editing application which was an essential tool for me to be able to create the aesthetic I was aiming for. I used it to manipulate lighting, contrast, colour, texture, clarity, and many other key features of my images. Shooting so many people was sometimes challenging, but ultimately allowed me to develop my understanding and skills on how to work with different models. On the other hand, I was also working with the environment, which I loved, but that came with the unpredictability of the weather when shooting. A fair amount of my photos were taken in the ocean, hence something I had to consider was the surf conditions and visibility before going out. Planning an outdoor shoot too far in advance didn't always work out, so throughout the year I had to become very flexible around the weather and be ready to go out and shoot any day of the week.
So from my experience of creating my HSC body of work, I have 3 pieces of advice that I would love to give to upcoming Year 12 students. Firstly is when you're thinking up what you want to do for your major work, don't get trapped in trying to brainstorm something too serious or deep or complex, because sometimes the simple and light-hearted ideas can be just as powerful, which is shown in my case. And secondly, if you're working with any type of digital media, don't forget to always back up your work. Technology can be very unpredictable, and I know I had struggles at stages in my process. And finally, don't stress if your work isn't feeling or looking how you want it to just yet. It's all about the process and the creating the work. I know I didn't have my final idea at the start of the year, but what I did do was just start. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is just start making art whenever and wherever you can. I was always asking people to take their portraits. I went around Manly and took a Polaroid camera and just took photos of random people. I took my camera with me to the snow and took photos of people skiing. I was always at the beach with my camera, all whilst having no solid idea of what my final concept was yet. But by taking these experimental photos is what led me to come to my final idea, and the idea started flowing through my brain and everything started falling into place. And that's seriously how you're going to get there in the end, if you just start making art wherever you can. So yeah, just get started, listen to your creative mind, listen to constructive advice from others, embrace ideas that pop into your head and trust yourself. And even if it doesn't feel like much yet, it will all come together in the end.